Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to IT Live, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Texas Homer. That is Tyler Horka. I try to say Horka's name there. And then Eric Nalin has joined us as usual. We're going to go through the depth charts as they stand, and Eric had a unique kind of take on how to go about it. First, I want you to go to Inside Texas. This is a crazy sale, and it's still running. It didn't end Sunday. 75% off your first year. You'll get all the team notes, news, all of that. And then, of course, you'll be locked in for the entire season. Also, I want you to buy Paul's book, The 2026 Longhorn Football Prospectus, Thinking Texas Football. There is no better preview in the world for your Longhorns, our opponents, and the wider SEC. Link in the description there as well. All right, Eric, set up the premise. You didn't just go, this guy's first, this guy's second. Kind of what were your thinking here?
Well, I was just trying to figure out who's functional depth and where a lot of these guys are in their developmental timelines. It's and it's going to change throughout the season too. That's one thing I wish I could better incorporate is a better understanding of which guys start where, and which guys are going to end up in a different place. Like we've been talking about since January that Derek Cooper is going to play a lot to start, but that he could become a major force as the season goes on. You know, a little experience goes a long way, especially the younger you are. So some of these guys are going to move in, but I wanted to talk about them in three different tiers, whether they're non-conference depth. These are the games where they just empty out the bench. I referenced a couple games in, I think, 2024 where the team was so deep and they got some big enough leads in non-conference where like 70, 75 players touched the field in some form or fashion. And then I went with conference depth. These are the guys that are going to play in, let's say, against Missouri. A team that's could be a stiff opponent, depending on which version of Missouri we get. I'm not sold on their quarterback. But just in a regular standard SEC game, which guys are going to see the field? And then, of course, they're going to tighten the reins in the playoffs, shorter bench. These are must-win games. And I also include Ohio State in that. So I considered that playoffs, but also I'm considering Ohio State a playoff game as well.
Playoffs, conference, and then non-con. That's how it works.
And that just gives people an idea of where these guys are at in their development. But again, some of these guys will change from one to the next as the season wears on. Hopefully a guy like Tyler Atkinson.
All right, let's start with the offense and let's look at quarterback. We have here Arch Manning as the starter. The starters are presumed playoffs, right? It would be interesting if you had a couple starters that were like, I don't know about playoffs with them, but starters are presumed.
I thought about that actually, but I'm like, most of these guys are playoffs.
Yeah. So starters are just kind of presumed, hey, they're going to be good, and then we'll go. So Arch Manning starter playoff run. I don't think this is too interesting. Anything from camp that stuck out to you guys? Quick. We got to move fast today, but.
Tyler,
I think what we're hearing about KJ Lacey is what we're hearing about KJ Lacey is promising because, like, if your backup is also a playoff player, then you're in a really good spot. You don't want to have to see him come in that type of situation. You want Arch to be the guy year through, but KJ's been playing really well in camp.
Yeah, and how is he playing well, Eric?
Well, he's just poised, quick decision-making, assertive, good leadership intangibles, quick mind, quick feet, quick arm, and confident, willing to when you hear about a young quarterback threatening the middle of the field, that's not super common. They're usually afraid or they're just throwing picks when they do that. Somebody asked about Dia Bell. When I started this off talking about like real functional depth for the season, and then I went deeper in the roster, my mind changed mid-article, and I forgot to put Dia there. Dia, I would have in non-con. He's the same position as KJ last year and Arch the year before. He's not ready for Missouri. I would feel good about KJ going against Missouri, to use them as an example.
Cool. Yeah, I was excited to see KJ in the playoffs context here, and hopefully we don't have to see him too much, but maybe he's playoffs caliber in the non-con. That's what I'm hoping to see. All right, running back, the two-headed beast, Hollywood Smothers and Raleigh Brown. First thing, you did a note on Smothers in your stock up article, Eric. Can you talk about what he's showing right now?
Yeah, he's just like he's the de facto 1A. He's the steady guy that you know is going to get you the yards the play was designed for, block for. He's not going to miss the lane. But at the same time, he has the ability to make a bigger play out of it as well. So he's kind of like he's got the highest floor in that room. I'm not saying he has the highest ceiling, but coaches like a reliable guy that on first and second down particularly, where they can get ahead in the sticks. He provides that sort of consistency, the veteran leadership. He's brought that to the room as well. he is your starting guy. I put him in stock up because I think it's relative to expectations that fans have. Everybody's really excited about Raleek Brown. I can feel it within the fan base that more excited about Raleek Brown because of that big playmaking ability. Well, Smothers is going to help Raleek get on that field in third down and make some of those big plays.
Yeah, that was my eval with Smothers. At first, I assumed he was just a speed back. He's not particularly fast. I think he's like around the 11s in high school or something. But he was just – his offensive line was awful. Everything he did, he had to work for. And he had that interview with Third and Longhorn where he's like, sometimes when there's just 4 yards, you got to pick up 4 yards. And that's what you want to hear from a running back. So I think you actually are going to get a more sound player in Smothers that will pick up the yards where it's there, and then Brown for the highlight reel.
Yeah, Smothers is a much better version of Trey Weiser. No offense to Trey. Trey did a lot of good things too. I would take Trey's pass blocking.
Sure. All right, let's get into the depth here. The first one is Derek Cooper, playoffs already. That's good to hear. Tyler, what did you see from Cooper when you were at practices?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Smothers and Brown, and you see the 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", whatever they are, like they work for it. They're pound for pound guys. Cooper he doesn't have to be a pound for pound guy. He's 212, 215 pounds, a little bit taller, just looks like he carries and moves that weight well. Obviously he does because he's a 5-star talent. He wouldn't have the 5 stars next to his name if he didn't move well. So I like it with him being the third guy because, yeah, we've differentiated that Smothers and Brown are not the same, and they'll give you a little bit of something else, but they're more similar to each other than they are to Cooper. Like Cooper's a different beast coming in there, and he's going to give you a different look. So if that's your third guy, and I think Eric says the world about him when you got playoffs in parentheses there, but I also think it's important that you see Michael Terry and James Simon with conference designations as well. Like that's a big leap in year 2 of their development. So top 5 running backs on this team, you got to love it if you're a Longhorn fan.
Yeah, Eric, I saw this. Michael Terry conference. What's going on there, man?
Well, and just so Cooper at playoffs, because I expect him to play against Ohio State, and I'm considering Ohio State a playoff game. Yep. Terry, well, they wanted to play Terry in the bowl game. They felt good about that. It's just that Christian Clark had such a hot hand. That game was kind of contentious going into the third, fourth quarter. And they stuck with the hot hand, but they wanted to play Terry last year in the bowl game. Thought they were, it didn't happen. I do think he's going to be ready for at least some short yardage carries against Missouri. I'm not saying he's going to get the ball against LSU or Ole Miss. He might. Ole Miss might be overrated, but they'll give it. He'll get some carries, and we like what we heard about him in getting a short yardage package. Now we're a little agnostic on whether or not he's going to be the best for short yardage because it's a misnomer that the bigger you are, the better you are in that right. setting. Hollywood Smothers might be the guy that I would want out there if it's not Arch. But they're trying to find ways to get him on the field. And then James Simon, he's a complete player. It's just he's got a lot of guys ahead of him. I would have no problem letting him tote the rock against Missouri though.
Yeah. And we got a huge don't sleep candidate here too with Jet Walker, non-con. I think the running back room has the most fan intrigue, right? I hear about Cooper. They ask about Cooper all the time. They ask about Terry all the time. And then Jet Walker gets a lot of questions as well. He is in the non-con category. What have we heard from there? What do we think in the future he's the guy?
He's always scoring, man. It's always, third team versus third team or something, but he finds the end zone a lot. I think he had a receiving touchdown last week in practice. He's good. He's kind of a cut and go, no nonsense runner with good speed. I don't know. I just tend to think, hey man, I would like him at linebacker probably, but he is a real running back. He's good. He's fast. He's strong. He's a little bit more raw as far as picking his spots in the running lanes, finding the cutback, the nuanced aspects of it that'll come with time. But as far as cut and go power, he belongs.
This room looks a lot different from last year, fellas. Excited about that. Wide receiver, controversial, but Cam Coleman is going to get the start. Ryan Wingo as well. Emmett Mosley. Duh. Now let's look at the depth here. Dalen McCutcheon, we have at playoffs. Burkhalter, we have in playoffs as well. That's good to see. Jermaine Bishop. I don't want to go through all of them here, but we have a lot of playoff caliber wide receivers if Sark allows them on the field. What's going on there, Eric?
I don't know how much he's going to allow it. Hey, my favorite moment of the weekend might have been that interception that Jonah got going to Emmett Mosley down the seam. Oh, I like seeing that. You just got to make sure a 6'3" Raptor's not playing center field back there. Yeah, these guys are these. Yeah, these. Could these guys play against Ohio State in week 2? Yeah, they could. Now Burkhalter is more of a emergency in case something, God forbid, something happens to Cam Coleman. Then he's plug and play as far as being a big, experienced guy. He can get vertical, which I've been intrigued to hear about. Man, some of that's due to his size. You can win vertical routes the bigger you are. But that's encouraging to hear. Dalen's a player. He's been good since he got on campus. Had that drop against Michigan. Throw that out. Look at that amazing catch he had in the spring game. He's a nuanced route runner. He's ready to play. It's these guys are more ready to play this year. It's just that they've got Cam Coleman now. Ryan Wingo's better, and then Emmett Mosley. They love the schematic advantages that come with him. All these guys can play. Jermaine Bishop, he's playoffs because I expect to see him on the field against Ohio State.
Ooh, maybe. Tyler, which one of these receivers stands out in the non-obvious category?
I guess I would say Bishop, but it's not just because like he's the shiny new toy freshman type thing. It's because he plays a different style of game than those top 3. Now, those top 3, can you find me 3 better wide receivers in college football in terms of your starters? I think Texas may be right up there among the best. But when you bring in Jermaine Bishop and he's a little bit smaller, he's a little bit shiftier. I grew up in old school Big 12 country, right? Like where everyone's slinging the ball around. It was those little guys who would get you 800, 900 yards per season. I think Bishop is going to be that at some point in his career. He might even be like an 1,100, 1,200 yard guy as a second or third year player because it's what they do with the ball in their hands and in space. And you just sling it out to him. It's kind of like Emmett Mosley, but he's a little bit more athletic even than Mosley, where just get him the ball, let him go. That's why Jermaine Bishop stands out to me.
Yeah, the Batman, dude. I'm having to pull a bunch of clips and stuff to get ready for the season in my editing. And Bishop's hilarious, the confidence that he has. And then Khalil Lockett is one of my favorite players on the team. Eric will not allow me to fully express that. He's always like, there's this guy named Cam Coleman or whatever.
Yeah, I just don't want you to elevate expectations. I mean, the expectations are really easy to elevate for this group. We got people asking me or asking the room if Jet Walker's, McCaffrey.
Yep. I wonder why you made that comparison.
Oh, man. So just imagine if Jet Walker was at OU and OU fans were saying he's the next McCaffrey. What would your reaction be to that? That's
dude, he's captured the fans' attention. Like they really like Walker. I get asked about him a bunch.
Look, man, I mean, he's intriguing. He's intriguing to me, not because he's white, because he's big and fast. I like a cut and go, no nonsense running back. There's a lot of fun in that, but this is not again. If we're already slowing down talk on Khalil Lockett, we definitely need to slow down talk on Jet Walker for this season.
Yeah, I don't think there is a milk check there, man. I think just get Walker in like 2 years. I'm really excited about. Player that I'm oddly probably most excited about in the wide receiver room is Cohen Brown. I think he's an NFL player. I think he's going to be a star. Now, I don't know if it's this year, right? I doubt it's this year, but I think in the coming years, he's going to be a big deal. He was so skilled and smooth that I assumed he was slow because most people don't develop that level of second level skills. And then they're like, no, he's one of the fastest people on the team. So when I heard that, it's pretty wild. I think Cohen Brown's going to be absolutely awesome. If you go to his Instagram, he's training all the time, working routes and working out too. So he's putting a lot of work in.
My don't sleep guy, because I know we should have a don't sleep portion of every show, is Chris Stewart. Chris Stewart. Fans were like, are they going to ditch him as a commit? And I heard that a lot during his recruitment. I'm like, have you watched the tape or what? You're just following like recruiting hype or something. And then he killed it on the 7-on-7 scene. Chris Stewart is a baller, man. He's going to be good. That trio that they got with him, Cohen Brown, and obviously Jermaine Bishop is really good across the board. It's not one or two guys.
But this being the best Texas wide receiver room ever, I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that are playoff caliber wide receivers. I mean, we've never had that level of depth. I guess you could argue maybe at the top or something like that, but it's got to be the best wide receiver room we've had on paper, I guess, right, guys?
Probably so. Yeah. I went back and looked at some of Sloan Thomas's stats because I've been comparing him and Emmett Mosley a little bit. Obviously Sloan was the third guy with BJ Johnson and Roy, but he wasn't nearly as productive as I thought he was. He came in with a lot of recruiting height. He was a 5-star. Emmett's going to be better than that. So yeah, it probably is. It's got to be the best wide receiver core. Texas has such a long history, but so much of it was running the ball.
Correct.
It's got to be. It's probably not even close, actually, because you got Cam Coleman's a top 10 pick. Ryan Wingo's got first round potential, and Emmett Mosley's going to be a mid rounder when his time too.
Yeah,
you got to credit Steve Sarkisian for the way that he's built the wide receiver room, because it's a good mix of the young guys that obviously just got here. You've retained a guy like Ryan Wingo for 3 years now. Emmett Mosley's a second-year transfer. You got the first-year transfer in Cam Coleman. It's like all coming together. Maybe not for this 1 year, because I think the future is really bright for some of the younger guys that we've mentioned. But in terms of knowing, like, hey, this might be Arch Manning's last year. We've got some really good guys on the defensive side of the ball. Let's go all in. This is an all-in wide receiver room.
I like what Chris Jackson's done too. Like, there's a lot of different play styles here. There's different body types. There were times where it seemed like Sark just wanted the skinny, fast guy, and I don't blame him. But with Chris Jackson, it seems like they got bigger. They have more blocking focus. This room is a complete room too. It's not just a bunch of like 4-3 guys, even though a lot of these guys are super fast.
Yeah, I do want to caution people a little bit that when it's crunch time, they're not going to have a heavy rotation at this position.
Yeah, of course
it's
not.
It's going to be like we saw a couple years ago, where like they just played their top 3 and that's it.
Yep.
And then there's also going to be a lot of 12 personnel too. So we're excited about a lot of these younger guys, but keep your eye on the prize here. This is about Cam Coleman and Ryan Wingo.
Yep. Run up the score, Sark. I want to see these guys. All right, before we go to the offensive line, let's hear a quick word from Academy.
I call my style skate to the party.
Can't go wrong with Nike slides.
You gotta show off the muscles. You gotta show a little bit of the thigh.
Right now at Academy, get up to 30% off Nike and Jordan clothes, shoes, and backpacks.
On full circle. Like in the 80s, you could do the short athletic shorts, and then my generation, you needed like the and one, like below your knees, and now we're back to the short.
I'm in a group message with my buddies out in LA, and they're like, "Dude, what's going on? What do they do with socks out there?" It's like we all went with short socks, and now they wear long. I said we don't follow trends, guys. Yeah. We're too old to be following those trends.
Were you in Cali when it was all about the metal militia like look, like the super high socks?
Yeah, there's definitely some of that, but yeah. To bring it full circle, though, I did spend a couple $100 at Academy on my kids. He's got his backpack and some other clothes there. So thanks, Academy should be sending me some money for that, but I guess they kind of did a roundabout way.
Academy is a sponsor, but I actually shop at Academy. They have like crazy deal. I got like whenever I was training for the half marathon, I bought like 10 pairs of shorts and shirts for like nothing, man.
Yeah.
So they actually.
I still have shorts from Academy from like 10 years ago that I bought, and they hold up. Like I wear them to the gym to this day.
That's what you can get a ton of like cheap, good workout gear there too. All right. Also got me like a nice jacket for whenever I had to go be a reporter for the Ohio State playoff game. You have to wear a quarter zip or else you're not a reporter. All right. Offensive line. Let's talk. Yeah, it's a rule, man. I need a nice neutral blue. And I need a quarter zip. Now I'm a reporter, man. All right, offensive line, Trevor Gooseby. Seymour with the asterisk. What does that asterisk mean, Eric?
Well, he's still winning the job. We're in the process of him winning the job. He had some learning moments during the scrimmage. Got to pick up the right guy on the blitz, pick up the right guy when he's pulling, that sort of thing. Just knocking some rust off. He hasn't played in a long time, especially with live bullets. And he's never played this competition. So he's in the middle of a learning curve. We expect him to win it, though.
Connor Robertson, let's pause here for a second. You've heard really good things about him.
Super consistent, tougher, stronger, more confident, and pretty athletic. He caught the eye of a few people at scrimmage on Saturday with his pulling, and he squared up on Rocky Cummings a time or two, which tells us Rocky's got some work to do. But Connor's a better player than he was last year. There's no doubt about that.
Then Brandon Baker and Siani. Let's get into the depth here and see what we have. Andre Kojo, playoffs. Sikorsky, playoffs. And Sikorsky's the one that could push Seymour, right?
Right. And we're still learning about Cole Hudson. I'm surprised we haven't heard more about Hudson. It's not like he was coming in out of shape or he was hanging around the NFL. But we haven't heard much about Hudson. But it's mainly Sikorsky. They like him for basically the opposite reasons of Seymour, right? Seymour has more upside, but Sikorsky knows his duties. Obviously, he was there throughout the spring.
That makes me nervous, though. Not for like Sikorsky, but coaches can tend to fall back on who makes them look good. So if Sikorsky's more sound, Seymour's got to figure that out in these 2 weeks. All right. That is all for the playoffs caliber. I haven't heard that much about Kojo. What's the word on Kojo?
Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's a swing tackle right now, and they would feel fine playing him. Last year the problem was he missed a whole year of development last year, and he would have got experience on the field that would have gone a long way. So he's still looking for that first year experience. So that's the problem. We talk about the depth here, but it's an issue. Even an issue with KJ Lacey is, they feel good about playing him, but there's no substitute for experience, and some of these guys just don't have that. But hopefully we see Kojo on some of these blowouts, and he starts getting a lot of real reps. They definitely have a decent understanding of him because of who he goes up against in practice.
Yeah. Any of these stand out to you, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall that you've got 3 guys there in the depth that are playoff caliber players. That's pretty huge. A couple of them being guards. Like, I'm a little bit worried about tackle depth for sure. Talking about Kojo, but like if he's a good player and he just needs the experience, then like Eric is saying, hopefully that comes week 1 against Texas State and you can get him out there and play actual football. But you like to think that Trevor Gooseby and Melvin Siani are going to hold up for an entire year, right? Because if they do, you're talking about a really good tackle tandem there. Got to figure out that left guard situation. Something tells me that Cole Hudson factors in at some point there, but you also want, like, if you're investing all of this in Lawrence Seymour, it's been almost 2 weeks of camp now. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of been the name that we keep throwing out there as the top guy at left guard. You want that to hold up, because if it doesn't, if you get to Texas State week and Kyle Flood and company has a little bit of a freak out, like, oh man, maybe we need to do something else. I'm not hitting the panic button even then, because it is Texas State in week 1, but it's like, oh man, you went through a whole month and you didn't figure it out. So these next 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks were vitally important. The next 2 weeks, exponentially important in terms of figuring out what you got there.
Yeah, last year we saw them doing weird tinkering, like at the last moment, the Connor Stroh announcement, stuff like that. You want to avoid that situation going forward. Let's look a little bit more of the conference depth, and then we'll get you out of here, Tyler, so you can go to the press conference. So Jackson Christian, someone does put here.
Yeah.
Hearing Jackson Christian has become nasty. Is he pushing anyone for that starting position?
Well, this is a totally different player if you're talking about Christian Jackson versus Jackson Christian.
Yeah.
It's Jackson Christian. He is nasty. We talked about him last year. We wrote on IT a few times about him last year, and the Coleman twins. You always got to take stock of the young guys on scout team once you get some data on them. And the Coleman twins and Jackson Christian were good on scout. So that's how we got, pretty excited about them for the future. Christian is got the nasty side that you want and the leadership qualities you expect out of center. They even gave him a look at guard early in the camp. That's the thing. Like, Lawrence Seymour, they were tinkering with a whole bunch of bodies. It hasn't even been full-time Lawrence Seymour yet, so I'm not worried there. But Christian's going to be a player for this team. I would not be surprised if he's the starting center next year.
So this is one that I'm curious about. I would have hoped Jaden Chapman to be more in play at this point. So what's going on there?
I don't know why you would hope it. I mean, we haven't heard a whole lot about Jaden in his time at Texas. So,
well, that's what I'm saying. Whenever he came out of high school, it's like I would expect to have heard more, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it's it's either he comes out of nowhere and starts playing differently than he's ever played at Texas, or you've got guys that are ahead of him. Which is, I'd rather hear that the guys are ahead of him.
Yeah.
And look, that never happens in the offensive line. Rarely does it happen where a guy comes out of nowhere. It takes like a year in off season. It takes a spring, a summer, a fall to where you see the signs like, okay, he's ascending, he's getting better. And if that wasn't the case for Jaden Chapman, like this entire year, you're going to have to be like, okay, maybe it's the next year. And by the way, some of that process is what happens during the fall, like scout team practices. Like, just because the season starts doesn't mean we're all, Trevor Gooseby across the line all the way to Melvin Siani. And that's the only thing that's happening for Texas at the offensive line. Behind the scenes, someone like Jaden Chapman is going to be getting better this fall, even though we're more focused on the games and the starters. So, like, it's a process. Up front, offensive line, it's a process.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. We saw it with Christian Jones where he got demonstrably better 3 years in a row.
Where is this Chapman's third year or second year?
He came into the 2023 class.
Okay, then yeah, I am. Yeah, I should hear a lot more about him.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm saying it would be odd to me if we all of a sudden started hearing stuff because we haven't really reported on him a whole lot in his time at Texas. So that means, all right, it's time to hear about. I want to hear about other guys, which we are hearing.
Yeah, and then the Colemans as well. There's a little bit of intrigue with them, I think, in the spring, but
no, there's a lot of intrigue with those guys. They're going to be good. It's just, if we're talking about for this season, particularly this season, then you have to temper your expectations. But those guys are talented.
Yeah. And then Paris Patterson, was he out of SMU? Where did he come from?
Yeah, SMU.
And then Newman out of A&M. Not surprised to hear kind of non-con there. And then John Turntime, young player. So cool. Any final thoughts on offensive line before you head out, Tyler?
Yeah, it's the thing that I said at the beginning where we want to talk about all these guys and that's the biggest paragraph that we have in terms of like naming names in this whole piece that we've gone through. But it comes down to 6, 7, 8 guys, right? And those are the ones that Eric has listed as playoffs. You probably see all of those guys play at some point, and then in the blowouts, you see everybody play. But in terms of like who Texas wants to run out there against a playoff caliber team like Ohio State, it's only going to come from those 8 guys. And if something happens within the midst of a game, Seymour comes out, Hudson or Sikorsky goes in. It's that simple. So what happens the next 2 weeks is Kyle Flood, Steve Sarkisian, they invest so much in these 8 guys and they try to find the right 5 and you go from there. And that's going to be a huge telling point for Texas's season. There's who are those first 5, who's the next one in, and like get those guys ready to roll because so much comes down to them.
If we can have a true 8, I actually feel much better there. All right, Tyler, go get us. Is it players or Sark today?
It's definitely Sark, and they said maybe some players. So Stay tuned.
All right. We will stay locked in for that. Later, Tyler. All right, Eric. Tight end. Shannon or Townsend? What's kind of the update there? Townsend still on a development curve, and then Shannon kind of the
I think they're all on a development curve. But Shannon had a good scrimmage. He was out there in 11 personnel a whole lot, blocking well. Some of those blocks were in his favor. If a 17-year-old Richard Wesley is in a 4-eye, that's not a hard block for somebody Shannon's size to operate. But Shannon's he's good. I mean, he's a lot better than he was last year. Another one, you could kind of almost consider him an offensive lineman. He's got that sort of build where it takes a while to grow into your body. It doesn't happen overnight. The development at tight end is very difficult for all the reasons we've talked about in the past. A lot of, you got run blocking, you got pass blocking, you're a receiver, you got to read defenses. There's a whole lot going on at the position. I think Spencer Shan's going to surprise some people this year. He's also, I don't know. How do people consider credible receiver? Is it an insult or is it positive? I think it's a positive. So I'm going to call him a credible receiver as well.
And then Townsend just figuring things out, or not a good inline blocker yet, or
it's not that he's bad at anything. It's just he's still learning. His consistency is his thing.
Cool.
You got to know who to pick up. It's one thing to go out there with full effort, physicality, and intent and all that, but you still got to get the right guy. You still got to play the right technique. It's just like I said, it's a tough position. He's still learning. I think he's going to be one of the players that improves the most throughout this entire season.
This next tier interests me. So you have Mizunis as playoff, someone who I liked as like an inline blocker. Haven't heard that as much as I thought I would. I thought I would hear him as a starter, like an instant starter. And then Winston, who we hear great things about constantly, but I'm still trying to figure out, like, how do I actually see him on the field? Can you talk about those two?
Yeah, he's more of your H-back, 12 personnel, receiving threat guy, move out in the flat. He's very good at finding open space. He's smart. Him and Arch are really good at connecting on, all right, the defense is doing this, you know where to go, right? And they have a good connection on stuff like that, he might have 15 catches all year, but he's going to move the sticks, score a couple touchdowns, and have a big impact relative to the amount of receptions he has. Masunis, also a credible receiver. Hey, when they got him, I was with you. You and I were talking before he even went in the portal. We're like, all right, this guy's a stud. Yeah. We haven't quite seen that yet or heard that. But some of that is it's attributable to Spencer Shannon's growth. And it's not like Masunis is bad in any regard. I mean, he's good. They're going to play a lot. I think there's going to be times where Masunis is out there with Nick Townsend or out there with Winston, and there will be times where it's Shannon and Masunis too if they really want to run the ball. So I'm kind of excited about the group. Now, their most important impact on the team this year is going to be blocking. It's not going to be receiving. They've got receivers for that. They've got Emmett Mosley, who can do some of those tight end sort of things as far as you're almost in 12.5 personnel with Emmett Mosley out there because he blocks so well. So he's going to eat some receptions too. But I think if they come around blocking, that's what they need to do for this team to maximize.
Yeah. This room is one that I'm interested in, but I think it'll probably be do you think it's the relative weakness of the offense?
Probably so. It's either the tight ends blocking, or if you think the importance of receiving at the position this year is important, then that would be what you go with. Maybe the thing that probably concerns me the most is not tight end, it's interior O-line push. That's my biggest concern. I think the tight ends will be fine. We've heard that they're good on the move blocking. But if you're expecting Jatavian Sanders or even Gunnar Helm as a receiver, then I think that's a little misguided. Though Nick Townsend can become that. He can definitely become that. I'm just not sure if it's going to start out that way.
I think you can use him as a trick in the red zone like we saw with A&M, but it's like you said, like with all these receivers and the running backs, they're like a sixth option in the passing game.
If it gets to the point where Sark feels comfortable with them, remember how often we saw Jatavian Sanders running wide ass open?
Right.
If they get Nick involved like that, you're going to see a lot of big plays. So it might be another thing where he has like 20 catches, but it's for like 400 yards.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, we got through the offense. Let's hear a word from Andre.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results: Andre the Lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the Lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
All right. Super chat. Good morning, fellows. Sorry if I missed it, but what is the percentage chance of Ty Anthony will be on the roster this year?
Good. Yeah, I think it's. I expect him to be out there against Texas State at this point. We'll see how things play out. We'll see how we'll kind of take our tip from how the school discusses it. But yeah, I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna be on the team. What kind of wave are we talking about here? Catch the wave. I'm curious about that.
Thank you for the chat, man. All right, let's talk defense. Edge starters right now: Lance Jackson, Colin Simmons. Not surprised to hear that, but we have some other players here. Zena, who I think is going to be a legendary option for us, was super glad when he came back from the portal. And then we've heard about him even kind of used in different ways, switching him out for Lance Jackson in certain packages.
Yeah, I went back and forth. I probably should have just put him as an or, but sure. I do think Lance Jackson is going to be the first one out there. So if I think that, just put Lance there. It's kind of like Hollywood Smothers. I think he's going to be the first one out there. So, but it is an or situation there with Zena. They do love him in certain packages. The NASCAR nickel rabbits, they call it, with the third and long. He goes down to D tackle, which tells you pretty much everything you need to know about Zena right there if they're putting him out there in that look. Very good player. If he was your starter and Lance Jackson wasn't on the team, I'm not sure we'd feel any different about the defense going into the season. So Zena's a stud. Bosick still just the same old thing. He can come in there and do his job. I don't think he's 100% healthy right now, which has kind of just been the story with him.
Yeah.
Richard Wesley, they need to keep him out of playing 4-eye. I don't think that's where he should be playing as a true freshman, a 17-year-old true freshman. But he can definitely come in and spell Colin Simmons. I think we're going to see him against Ohio State, which is why I have him. I got him there as conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I probably should have put him at playoffs because I do think he's going to play against Ohio State. Smith Orogbo, conference, but he could grow into a playoff caliber sort of player throughout the season. Hopefully we see him some. And then Jamarian Carlton, non-conference for now, but that guy's got real upside. He's got a physical nature to him. He's got size you can't teach. Got a good mentality out on the field, same as Richard Wesley. So he's going to grow into a conference player, throughout the season.
Man, that room is awesome. Defensive tackle, hero in January. January looking good too. And then, but I don't want to skip over Gaffard though. So Gaffard playoffs. What have we heard about him? He slimmed down to slimmed down to a nice 360 or something like that.
Yeah, he's so big. It's if he loses 360, it could just be because he went for a walk. It's like it's not. I don't think he's any slimmer. He looks as big as ever. When I said he's got a cantilevered stomach or midsection, he's still got an overhang.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't move him. I had a couple people text us from the scrimmage saying this guy's gigantic. They can't do anything with him. So he's the type of guy that makes everybody around him better. Which that's exactly what we're hearing about Murad Watson. Now you expected to hear that with Gaffard. That's why he was brought in. You look at what the parts had that the parts Muschamp had available to him, or what was missing. Gaffard was obviously missing from the roster, but we didn't expect Murad Watson to step in and become a nose tackle, technique sort of player. That is, we heard that in the spring, and I was very skeptical of it, just because I remember watching him in short yard situations last year. But the noise is still there, and we heard it again from onlookers at the scrimmage. They're buying Murad Watson, so we're going with it. I expect a good year out of him. Now it's not going to be a stat sheet year. If you miss the game and you check the box score, I thought Murad Watson was going to be. That's not the type of player he's going to be. He's going to be a dirty work guy. That's going to make the linebacker's life easier. That's going to help the line mate next to him get penetration. He's going to occupy blocks so the stunts have more effect.
I have kind of a similar thing as David Keith Williams. NT and DT positions have changed somewhat to me. I initially thought Murad would be playing DT, Alex January more of the nose tackle. Looks like their roles have reversed. With January, I kind of thought he'd go either way. Murad, I did not see this coming at all. To me, he was an interior pass rusher, period. And so that's a complete flip, which is really surprising. And I'm glad he's willing to do it, because his whole pitch, and most players like to get sacks, right? And if you're a player that's able to do that, you kind of want to stay with that. It's a thankless job playing nose. So I'm even surprised his team player-osity to even do that, because if I was him, I'd be like, nope.
Yeah. The adjective we hear about him the most is selfless, and yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, it's been a constant. At some point, you just have to go with what. It's not like we're hearing it from one practice. Oh, he had a good practice playing bigger than he is. No, it's just constant. It's a theme for him this entire offseason. So he got shouted out last week too. Somebody shouted. It might have been Sark. Yeah, that guy he's a different player than what we bargained for. January is pretty much what I thought coming out of high school. He could play either. He's active. He's just a good all-around defensive tackle.
Yeah. And then Justice Terry, man, was lighting up camp early. A lot of reports about him. So what's going on with Justice? Is he in Nickel Rabbits?
No, he's not out there in Nickel Rabbits. That's Hero Canoe. But I think that might change at some point. Or, if you have a game where you play a lot of Nickel Rabbits, maybe you lean into Justice Terry for either Canoe or Xena. It doesn't matter which one. The noise hasn't been just about him in the first couple practices. It's been constant with him. It's really nonstop. He's not going to start. He's going to play starter rotational snaps, which is a lot. It won't matter who starts. It's the old adage in basketball, it matters who finishes the game. And situationally, it'll matter too in football in the fourth quarter. You probably won't have him out there in goal line unless they have him at defensive end. But you definitely want him out there. You can play him in the fourth quarter in a national championship game and feel perfectly fine with it.
Yeah. I don't care at all about starters on defensive tackle. I only care about the rotation.
No, the rotation is the rotation. That is the strength of the room itself, is that everybody makes each other better, fresher. We call it keeping their duty cycle fresh. You guys, you want them operating at max capacity, and every guy that can play helps the next guy that's out there too.
Two younger guys I'm excited for, Charles and Sharma. Think next year is the year for them, Eric?
Charles is, they can both grow into playoff caliber players, and I think because they're going to rotate so much that they will grow into that. Now, whether or not you go to your 6th and 7th guy against, let's say, Indiana in the playoffs, I don't know about that, but Charles is good. Remember, Charles really stood out in the spring game. I had to look down at the roster a few times to check that number. He is big and active and also a dog. And then Josiah Sharma is really what you're looking for in a nose tackle. I think this is going to be a year where we see Sharma maybe get, 10 snaps in some games, 15 in others. Still kind of building up the stamina you need. You can actually look like Ian Giffard and be in good enough shape to play 35, 40 snaps, which he miraculously did at Arkansas. I think he played more snaps last year than Hero Canoe, which
It's insane.
He had to have been gassed in some of those games.
Yeah.
But Sharma's still kind of working into the stamina and that sort of thing, and building on their technique, of course. But yeah, they can go 7 deep at this position, no problem.
Awesome. Any thoughts on the non-con guys before we move on?
Zion, this is just a big developmental year for him. That's the way it's looking. You hope that they keep this assembly line going, and after Giffard leaves after this season, hopefully Murad sticks around. He goes into that number 1 slot, and then you just keep the trains moving. So Zion, but he needs to have a good developmental year in the weight room and all that. He needs to really take to it. James Johnson's, not a big guy. It's clear to me that his utility in college is going to be as a penetrator. And then Elijah Ali, I was really shocked to see him in person because, this is the guy that bounced between, Southern California private school and a New York private school. Nobody knew anything about him really. Seeing him in person, yeah. And I've seen he's athletic on tape. That was an eye opener. He's a big kid.
Cool. This room plus the coaching we get from this room, really excited. And they're going to make all of our flashy get sacked players look really good too. So shout out defensive tackle. Raheem Biles, Justin Cryer. I told you yesterday as I'm getting all the assets ready for editing, I was like, I can tell you Cryer's a starter just by how many photographs he's in. I can tell you what he's doing in photographs, pointing out like simple things like that, like just showing visually he knows what he's talking about. He's also a lot of like standing in front of green screens. So there's that's a source we don't utilize as much, Eric, but if I can get pictures in aggregate, I can actually probably guess starters on the team. So excited to hear that. I was honestly a little bit down on him when he first came in for foot speed. So it looks like I was wrong, which I'm incredibly happy to be wrong at.
I remember seeing him at Brookshire. I went to a practice and saw him, and you match the tape. The straight line speed was pretty good, but there's just so much lateral quickness you wonder about. He kind of has an old school Big Ten linebacker build to him, and he kind of brings the hat like that and just plays in a limited, confined space. Well, it turns out that's what they plan on doing with him in the first place. So then you worry about foot quickness a little bit less. If you're matching his strengths to what you want to do with him, that's good. Just don't ask him to do anything that he's not capable of doing. This has been another one like Watson, where it's been a slow burn of constant information, all tracking in the same direction. When I told a source that, I thought there was a decent chance Tyanthony Smith would start after the spring, and Tyanthony was talking about it in an availability. He's like, I don't know about that, man. And I'm like, all right, I tucked that away, and here we are. With Cryer, you can't. Fans don't value enough the veteran presence, the communication, the guy that organizes the room. You put that together with the fact that Muschamp's not going to do him anything that he's not capable of doing. And we're talking about a pretty big year out of him. I'm not saying all conference or anything like that, but we're not going to go, man, that guy, I don't think we're ever going to go, yep, that's what I thought he was at FSU. Right. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised by him.
Yeah. And Muschamp selecting him, right? Like that matters too. Why did he do that? But I think it's an experienced position to have a player that's pointing things out, calming the room, letting people see things. I'm excited about everything that I've heard about Cryer. All right, let's go into the depth here. First things first, Tyanthony Smith, playoffs caliber, injured during the spring, right? Lost some weight because of that, trying to get back to that. So definitely some bumps in the road for Smith.
Well, he's 215, and, Sark says he's got the flu, so hopefully he doesn't lose too much weight.
Yeah. Pedialyte right now, dude.
Yeah, and losing weight in August, you're going to do that anyway. So he was probably already dropping some weight just because it's so freaking hot out there, and they go so hard. So that's something we probably have to figure out, that he might have to build up some weight throughout the fall. But he can play both. I think he's more of a Biles backup at will. That's certainly the body type, but he's so tough that playing in the box and playing the run, he doesn't care about that stuff, man. He's a tough kid. Hard worker and all those things. So he's, depth has been the concern even with him there. Obviously, depth would be a massive concern if he's not there. But I expect Ty Anthony to be a part of this team, and I think he's going to be the third linebacker.
And then Brad Spence, it seems like they've made the official decision to put him in the linebacker realm. And he's gone kind of back and forth. I think there's some Sam packages, right, where he could.
Yeah, I mean, he is the Sam linebacker. That's his position. So it's and Sam is kind of a quasi edge. It's replacing the nickel. So you're lined up where the nickel would be. So it's easy to bring that guy out as a defensive end.
But does he rep like backup Mike?
Yeah, he reps backup Mike, backup Will. He does not do anything in the edge room. He is 100% linebacker. I know on the roster they've got him at edge or linebacker and edge. And it would be easy to assimilate him into any sort of hybrid package where he's just line up and you can bring him at any one of the gaps you want to. But he's the linebacker. He's at Sam, but he does rep Mike and he reps Will as well. He can play all three. Now that's when I say he can play all three. I haven't seen it with my own eyes. I haven't really heard great things about it. I think there's going to be some indecision of if he's out there. We saw some of that with Trey Moore. Trey Moore is a super smart football player. But because he didn't play a ton of off-ball linebacker in his career, there was some indecision. He's still a learning process. I think Miami got him. I think there's, indecision is a killer for linebacker, but Brad can be out there. He's a credible player. And even though we know him as a more muscled up guy that plays downhill, he can move in space. Brad is.
He played for Arkansas. There is tape of him playing linebacker.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was sort of predetermined stuff they were doing, but he was playing off ball. There's no doubt about it. They were doing the smart for him long term development plan. He played defensive end in high school. All he did was rush the passer, kind of like Kosi Okpala, who we'll talk about in a minute. So there's a steep developmental curve to play an off ball linebacker. The game, there's so much more to process. But yeah, they rep him at linebacker all the time. He's not at edge.
And then to the conference guys, first one, Tyler Atkinson. We've heard some good things there too.
Yeah, I expect him to become a playoff level depth player as the season progresses. A bit of a quiet spring, acclimating to life in college. Not life in college, but life as a college football player. The game speeds up for you. There's a lot to process. There's a lot to learn. He's an extremely hard worker, had a really good summer, putting in as much extra work as possible. Justin Cryer has been a big help with him too. You love hearing that about the veteran linebacker. Tyler leaning into the older guy and trusting him. He's had a good summer. He's had a good camp. And, he's going to get, we'll see how long Ty Anthony's out, but the longer Ty Anthony's out, the more Tyler will get reps.
And Rocky Cummings, and then Darius Snow. Haven't heard Darius Snow's name really at all. So what's going on with those two?
Cummings,
to see him in conference, I'm surprised by.
Yeah, well, I mean, he played Big Ten conference games, so I assume he can go out there and be a depth against Missouri. Again, if we're using Missouri as our kind of placeholder for conference, he can go out there and play. He's very smart. Darius is a very smart player. We've written about that a few times, and then Sark, that's the one thing Sark said about him. Now, Darius is also about the age as a GA, so, I mean, he should be smart. But yeah, Darius can go out there and play for them in a pinch. There's no doubt about that. Cummings is more probably non-con conference. It's he's got this is Mike is a tough position to learn.
Yeah.
Still reading blocks and all that. All that goes into playing linebacker. Talk about it all the time. It's a mentally intensive position. He's still learning to play fast, but he's got it all. He's got all the ability. Just needs more time.
Yeah. You can get paralyzed with all that backfield motion, man. But the athleticism is not the issue with Cummings, that's for sure. And then Kosi, you said, played edge in high school. We heard some really good things about Kosi as well. I expected him to maybe even get into like the conference tier, but we have him here at a non-conference.
Yeah, they've been repping him at will a lot. He's a Sam. He was built in a lab to play Sam, just like Trey Moore and just like Brad Spence, built in a lab for that position. But Kosi is a easier mover than Brad. Man, he's for a muscled up guy. He's got like his traps touch his ear, that sort of build. He's really fluid. He's a bit of a freak, man. But obviously there's a learning curve playing off-ball linebacker. You got to pin his ears back in high school. It's entirely different, but he's taken to it really well. And I do think he's going to become conference level depth as the season progresses. He has a longer learning curve than the others because he hasn't played a ton of off-ball linebacker. Like Tyler Atkinson, that's what I love of him in high school is he was playing off-ball the entire time. None of this edge nonsense where it makes it harder to project them as a player. Kosi was a pure edge. So he comes with projection. I know the linebacker coach he works with quite well, and he speaks well of him. And Kosi's got all the traits. I'm really happy to see how he moves playing backwards. I love everything I'm hearing about Okpala as a long-term linebacker, not just a hybrid, not just a Sam, but a guy that can play Mike or Will.
Any thoughts on the non-con guys?
Brindley Tida, late addition to the class, very late, last minute, and got him out of Summer Creek High School. They've got him at Sam, which, that's perfect for him. He played edge in high school, played defensive end in high school, basically, and Sam is perfect for him for those reasons we talked about. You can line him up closer to the line of scrimmage, and he can be a quasi Sam. He's a bigger kid, so I don't think we'll hear about him playing Mike or Will. I think Sam is probably his gateway to the field. If not that, then probably spin down to that edge room.
All right. Star. Grayson Littleton, the breakout player of last season. Also, now we're like, oh, it's all good. We knew he was going to be good. But that was a lot of anxiety when we heard Grayson Littleton might get playing Ohio State. But he proved us right. He hasn't been mentioned that much. Now he is, because I think we're realizing like Grayson Littleton's impact. I think he's kind of has the Colin Simmons problem where you're like, yeah, he's going to be good. Not as interesting to do a note there, but
I put him in the stock up article this morning, and I didn't have him in there originally. A source told me to put him in there. So because it was so loud last year about him, it's not. We kind of just expect him to be great, but he wasn't a finished product last season. He's become much more consistent. He's more physical. I think the coaching that he's getting from Muschamp is helping him out a lot. Sure. But we were talking about him all. The last week at least, about him being very physical, breaking up the screens. We heard about that in the spring as well. And then lo and behold, that interception he got in the scrimmage was him mucking up a screen. Grayson Littleton, he's a very good player. And again, you like these guys at Star that are real corners. They just have the intangible ability to also play nickel.
And then Filsamy, who got spun down from safety. And then Wardell Mack, player that I'm intrigued by as well in the playoffs talk.
Yeah, Wardell Mack, he can play corner. Again, he's at nickel because he can play corner. And Filsamy is a spin down safety. I think, I need to learn more about Filsamy. I know they are high on him at this position. I still want to hear about how he's doing on run fits and that sort of thing. We should hear about him breaking up screens too. Being a safety, right? He's coming in there with more size than Littleton. I want to hear about him being as physical as Littleton. Haven't heard that yet, but I haven't necessarily asked about it either. There's a lot of goodness in this room. There's depth. Wardell Mack would be a credible starter for this team. It wouldn't be as good as Littleton, but you could start him and feel perfectly fine about it. And then on top of it, they like Cunningham. Cunningham comes with a little more size, a little more attitude, and he's also a good athlete.
And then you have Jonathan Cunningham, who I wouldn't be surprised if I heard he's at defensive tackle next week. It seems like he's been all over the defense. But what's going on with Cunningham?
Yeah, he's got size and physicality, a linebacker mindset, tough kid, physical, kind of I think they're moving around. Like they really like him, but it's like, where can we get this guy on the field?
Right.
Not necessarily as a starter, but somebody like what role can he fill for this team? When they have these guys, it's through no fault of their own that they're not on the field. Like they feel like they're ready to get on the field in some capacity. They'll move them around. They did that with Ryan Niblett before. They've done it with Jordan Johnson-Rebel in the past. They might still be doing it with Jordan Johnson-Rebel. So it's just he's a good player, good attitude. They like the physicality. It's just, this is where they have him at. I think they like to have the versatility to have a cover corner there or more safety, size, and physicality.
Under Muschamp, will the corners stick to one side of the field or will they play all over?
I need to ask that question. They were bouncing between right and left during the spring, but I need to see if that's still the case. I'll find that out.
Yeah, I'm curious to know that too. And then because it also feels like the Muschamp ethos, the Saban tree also doesn't like not having an answer. And if they can just corner matchup hunt, it doesn't feel like they would want. There's got to be something in the playbook where they can travel, but I don't know. It's a base rule. I would assume it's field boundary or whatever. I've heard multiple reports of Filsaime playing at nickelback, but is he a nickelback? I view him as a safety. I think Bo Masco is more of a nickel. I even think Warren Roberson is more of a nickel than Filsaime.
I mean, Warren Roberson would be built in a lab for the position, but the processing, this decision making in real time is the holdup there. I mean, otherwise, Warren Roberson, you could not build a better nickel for that. The build, the speed, the physicality, he'd be great for it. But it's there's more to it than just that. I need to figure out just how good is Filsaime at nickel. That's something I'll focus on in the next couple updates. And then Masco does play nickel. Yeah, they have. There's times where he's the number one nickel out there in certain looks. So yeah, you're right. Masco's not coming off the field.
I love Roberson at safety in this scheme. I don't, man. If it's a processing thing, I don't. At safety, I need you to process. I want Roberson to run with receivers in man.
This is one of the things I always have trouble getting through to people. It's just it's much more. It's more about It's about much more than just the athletic and physical traits.
Yeah, I want him to run with guys at corner. That's where I think. But if it's a processing thing or an experience thing, then I absolutely do not want him at the safety position.
Remember Keaton Crawford was a converted corner to safety, and there was a problem there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk corner. Bo Masco and Cade Phillips. And then we're going to hit Roberson again. I'm really excited about this room. All the guys kind of listed here. Bo, when we were talking on Pack's show, we're talking the roles of the corners. Seems like Bo will be more of that single side guy and Cade would be more field. But has that been told to you explicitly?
I'll ask that. I haven't asked it because they weren't doing anything special with him in the spring, so it was kind of in the on the back burner. I'll ask about that and see.
Cool.
I'm sure they're gonna try to take advantage of Bo Masco in whatever way they see fit, they see best, because he is their favorite guy back there. Like I said, if he's replacing Grayson Littleton in certain looks, then the dude's a stud.
So what's the word on Masco? The most skilled, kind of the most savvy, but what about when he's
also the most physical? Warren Roberson.
What about when he's up against the 6'4" guy? Because he's not a big guy.
Well, he's the one that gave Cam Coleman the most fits.
Yeah, that's good. That's what I want to hear. That's the only question with a smaller corner. So it seems like this was probably the best quiet addition. It didn't get like a ton of recognition. That was a great move they made there, getting Bo Masco.
Yeah, if you got if your top corner came from Rutgers and you got, you still have talents, guys that are physically more talented, athletically more talented, like Cade Phillips and Warren Roberson. And then remember Kobe Black was there too.
Yeah.
It says a lot. When they lost Manny Muhammad, I said they just need to go get a guy that's got some experience. Well, I had no idea they were going to be able to pull this off, or I didn't know that Masco was even this good. I knew they could get him because of the Orfe connection to Rutgers. I had no idea that he was just this good. Guy's a stud. Very physical too for being, I think he's the smallest corner they have.
Willie Shadow Smith. I don't know, but at Rutgers, he would lock on and he would travel with guys. So he has that ability. For sure.
Smith is going to get the same treatment he's been getting.
Yeah. 9.
It's not going to be, they're not going to put one guy on him and say, lock him up.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a strategy against him, man. The trick is whenever he starts running off safeties and Chris Henry starts running off safeties, who's their number 3?
Ennis.
Their number 3's killer or their tight end's killer. That's kind of the key to that game to me. All right. Roberson, we just talked about it. When you see him run an open field, it sounds like I'm talking about like a horse, like just galloping throughout in the wide open range. But that's what it looks like. Whenever he carried an A&M receiver on a shallow that caught all of our eyes in a film study, he might have the best athletic profile as far as running with somebody in space.
He does. No, he has the best cover ability. But again, it's much more than just what's your athletic profile.
Yeah. And then Samari Matthews, young guy we heard about early, looking like he will be able to get some conference reps here.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the coaches will just tell you what they think by their actions. If Kobe Black is at safety, then, they feel good about playing Samari if they need to. Yeah. Of course, they can always move Kobe. But Samari made a ton of noise in the spring. I'll check back in on him. I'll do a more thorough defensive back update the next time I get somebody on the phone.
And then Hayward Howard, he suffers from backwards name syndrome. Howard Hayward is cooler sounding, but Hayward
like
Howard,
our friend Christian Jackson.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you need to flip it. But Hayward Howard, non-con, and then John Meredith here a year early, kind of an unexpected arrival too, right? With the UIL situation and all of that. So don't expect to see too much here from these guys, right?
No, I mean, we'll see John out there playing corner at some point, maybe late in the game or maybe even in non-con. Probably not, but maybe. Super talented guy, really good man cover traits, but no expectations of him.
Cool. Safety. Jelani and Derek. There's some intrigue here, at least in my mind. But let's see what Eric thinks. So Jelani, and then Derek Williams. That would be the spot that I guess there's more intrigue. So what's going on with like Derek and Kobe, I guess. And so you have like Kobe at conference here, and so I'm like, what's going on? I'm scared, dude.
I could probably put him at playoffs. He just, he hasn't played safety in real life settings. So there's going to be times where I think, rivals will try to pick on him and check on his discipline. Now, Kobe is a smart player. We've talked about that when he was playing cornerback, smarter than the average corner. So, you don't expect him to get beat through a mental lapse, but it happens to the best of them. So I just want to see him. I do think he's going to be a playoff level player without a doubt as we get into the season. I just want to see a little bit more. And again, they're playing Ohio State. If he's out there and you've got all the conflict that Ohio State could give you, will you feel great about that? I mean, I need to see some of it first.
You need reps.
Yeah, all three of those guys need reps. Now I think they're all going to be playoff level guys after a few games.
JJR, what have we heard about him?
Super physical. He's a guy that you want in the boundary, of course. Derek's in the boundary more. These guys find themselves in the run game a lot, replacing Biles as the blitzer. Very physical downhill mindset, thickly built. I expect him to play, but there's a huge outlier here with Jonah Williams.
He seems to be on the rise.
If Jonah's run fits are there, see, this is why I think, until I hear otherwise or see otherwise, I think Jordan's going to play because, the boundary run fits are very important. And
yes,
Jonah was just playing center field last year. Now he did make some good downhill tackles in the scrimmage, which that's got my interest more than that interception does. Honestly, I know he can play center field and play. That interception is great. Good attention getting device. Good reminder to the people that thought he was never going to amount to anything after 70 snaps as a true freshman. But I want to hear more about him playing downhill against the run. To me, that's going to be where it really starts to take off for him. And fortunately, we are hearing some good things there.
Good. Zealous Hicks, Yaheem Riley, non-con. Okay, cool. Zealous was a reclass too, right? So he's a year younger than he appears.
He's a reclass, but he was the proper age, but it still cost him a year of high school development.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so he didn't have his senior year where he would have developed. The age is on par, but the high school experience is not.
Cool. And then you snuck a Torrey Davis conference in the middle of here. I know you're big on Torrey Davis. So what's going on there?
Yeah, I probably could have put Zealous at conference, but man, I went back to something I heard earlier in the season where this guy, or earlier in camp, where the guy's tremendous, still kind of coming out of his shell as a player, but super athletic, smart, ball skills for days, that sort of thing. I think that there's a chance that we see him on special teams. I do think there's a chance we see Trey Davis playing later in games in conference.
Hey, Melo's back. Melo's an Ohio State fan. He comes in and gives us good intel. Good to see you back, man. The offense is going to look completely different from the previous two that Texas experiences as well. Yeah. That's we've heard that too, I guess, with Smith, but I need to get more intel on that. Melo, you can also just DM me.
Apparently the UTSA receiver's making some noise up there too, Devin McCune.
Is he? All right. Good on safety here then. All right. That's a wrap. That's the depth chart so far, halfway through camp. I'm really excited for the week of the first game where we could do the official depth chart breakdown. So over these next 2 weeks, this is where you really start whittling it down, right, Eric? Really figuring out who fits.
Yeah, this scrimmage this week, I think it's going to be more intense, and I think it's going to have more of a profound impact on not the starters necessarily, but who is going to get real playing time, who's real rotational, and who's right on the cusp.
Good. All right, everyone, head over to Inside Texas. You can get all those notes as they drop. 75% off your first year. Incredible deal. Also, I want you to get Paul's book, Thinking Texas Football. You will not regret it. It's incredible writing. You get a ton of value and actual knowledge, and you're going to laugh a lot. So everyone go check that out and stay locked in for the rest of the videos we have coming at you today. And this is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. See y'all.